Alright, so we're gonna be doing something a little bit different today. It's going to be a post-commentary run. I wanted to do this for a little bit now to kind of just explain more in-depth decision-making and why I might do something that might not be so obvious, and that's a little bit hard to explain while I'm in the middle of running. So let's just jump right into the video of what is going to eventually end up becoming a Flint run, actually. But starting off, we're going to have a dual bind. You saw me activate it right there by moving my settings to have each weapon on my X button. And we're going to do it with a throw knife plus a balance blade. This is going to let us get that bleed source off while still attacking just as fast and just racking up our damage way quicker. And on top of that, we're going to have the phaser, which is really just going to let us teleport on the enemies, take them out super quick. Not too difficult, pretty easy start to prison quarters, and in general this map isn't super hard as long as you don't make any big mistakes or overcommitments. So we're just gonna, hop through, and for the most part, prison quarters isn't gonna be too much of a challenge. Now, we are going to, of course, be careful with overextending, so we're going to focus on defense first, rolling out of the way, but for the most part, pretty simple. Eventually, we're going to run into this Toleric Shock here, and it's just going to make our transition into red a little easier, give us a easy one-hit kill. Not that Giant Whistle wouldn't be one-hit kill and stuff this early on anyways, but it's going to, potentially transition if we struggle to find a item in the next map. It's going to give us something that we can use, possibly going into prison depths even. Or prison quarters, but we're going to end up going to prison depths. However, it's not going to be too hard. As soon as we get into Promenade, the very first thing we're going to see is ice shards that are pretty insane, actually. And then a magnetic grenade, which is what we're going to transition to, giving us just more damage over time and just a very large area of destruction. We're going to toss a magnetic grenade down, and unfortunately we're going to trigger an elite, but we're going to handle it pretty good here. Especially because magnetic grenade is just going to make his grenades not an issue. Now, one little thing here, the mutation I did decide to go with was open wounds, because at this point I was thinking about going for a potentially blood build with a blood sword, throw knife, plus phaser, but then I'm going to run into this Flint that's bonus to poison and bonus to bleed. I'm like, well, I gotta take that, right? So I'm going to take it, and you're going to see me just kind of testing it out, how it works with the throw knife. And like, I can just teleport onto the enemy, eventually get melee mutation, which will slow enemies down when I phaser onto them, and hopefully do a charge swing. That's kind of the idea I had going on in my head right here. I am still looking through the shop, seeing if anything catches my eye. I do see that blood sword, but I am kind of really wanting this Flint build. I also see a Firebrands. I'm like, that might have some potential. So I am going to move forward, and it's not going to be too hard, but we're going to run into a Cursed Chest. So I'm going to need to keep that in mind. I'm like, oh, well, gotta test this build out already. This is going to be scary, but let's see how it does. We're at the start of the run, so it shouldn't be too bad, even if I lose. But I'm going to test it out, see if I can hold the Flint charge, and then teleport onto the enemy and get it off. And it's working pretty well. The idea is, it's not fully fleshed out yet. We're going to want to get melee mutation at some point. But the idea works. But we do see a bomber up there. I'm like, I'm going to throw this magnetic grenade and hope it doesn't activate him. And it doesn't, thankfully. So I'm going to be able to take out this field experiment here. Just wait for him to jump at us. And screw our swing up. But it's all good. And I'm going to have to run under this guy and just try and look for enemies that I can kill before he kills us with our curse, obviously. So he's going to teleport, but thankfully it's not going to be like the crystal shooter or anything. And we're going to be able to get to this protector, sorry, and take him out with our magnetic grenade and our Flint. We're going to lose our 60 there, but it's not going to be too big of a deal. We still have plenty of Promenade to go, and even if we don't get our 60, the build's pretty well situated at this point. Now, at this point, first off, we're going to end up finding a War Spear that's a legendary, but we're not going to end up taking that. But as you may notice, I went and switched my phaser to the X button as well. So that way I can teleport directly on the enemy. And ideally I will teleport on them with melee and get the charge off while they're stunned from melee. That's what I had in mind, at least, and we'll see how it goes once we get into Prison Depths and we're able to actually get that mutation. But then we're going to run into this really nice Corrosive Cloud. I'm like, well, I have bonus to Poison and Bleed on my one, so I'm, you know, keeping that in mind with the Firebrands I saw earlier. It gives me a potential synergy that's really easy to get, and I'm like, yeah, that's really solid. So we're just gonna keep going. Now we, you know, I'm like, wow, this build's already sort of come together. All we need is a knife, but, you know, obviously we can always look to improve, and we're gonna want to improve our phaser as well, which thankfully is going to happen right here, where we're going to drop down and see a phaser that is bonus to bleed and bonus to burn oil and spreads oil. So right there, I'm like, oh, I should go get a flamethrower. So it's going to cost us a bunch of money here. We're going to end up basically buying a useless Corrosive Cloud. But we're going to eventually swap to Heart of Ice and Melee. That way we can have those instant teleports and use all of our money basically to get Toxic Cloud on the flamethrower. So now we have all those synergies built up, super strong, and we're out of money completely basically, but we are really set up damage wise, and we're gonna see how it goes. Obviously Prison Depths is a very scary map sometimes, so, but at this point we're pretty confident that we have a build set that we can actually take way into late game as soon as we upgrade our throwing knife probably. So we're gonna take our time with our curse, wait, see where enemies are, try not to overcommit, and just let the enemies come to us with the teleport mechanics. I actually think the teleport mechanics makes this map way easier than like on 3 BC where they wouldn't teleport onto you. But we're just gonna wait. We're gonna try not to activate that knife thrower in our top left, and thankfully he isn't. And we're seeing that the teleport plus knife throw plus charge works pretty well. We're able to get pretty much all of them off. Now we're gonna see this. We're gonna drop on him, and our phaser actually teleported onto the knife thrower behind the slasher. I'm not sure why it did that, but that's gonna be one scary thing about having our teleport onto our attack that we're gonna need to keep in mind. I did actually throughout this run test out going back and forth between them, but it's not too bad. It's something we can work around. Now we're gonna go down here, and there's gonna be a lot of bats and also a hammer, and those are actually gonna be an issue for this build. But thankfully Flamethrower does a pretty good job of killing hammers quickly. But we're gonna need to keep that in mind, especially if we run into an elite hammer, that this does not have any great way of handling all the bats that hammers spawn. But other than that, it's gonna go pretty solid. Like I said, bats are gonna be scary for this build. We're gonna need to try and keep that in mind throughout the entire run. But we're going to keep going up and see that this teleport style of just charging up our attacks on each enemy works really well. It's one-shot on most enemies. Now we're going to see our potentially first kind of scary encounter here, other than the curse obviously. A hammer plus an elite rampager, but thankfully we take out the hammer pretty quick by kiting it up top while the rampager does whatever. And we do see a new flint here. It has potential. It's pretty strong, but I think I decide to go with the bleed one just because it's a little bit more consistent, I feel, than the other one. It has that consistent bleed bonus as compared to relying on the poison bonus and having the weaker 20% bonus. Now we are going to stun lock this elite lacerator here. He just goes into the corner and dies. Nothing really to it. Pretty easy. So once we get into Ancient Sewers, it's actually going to be kind of uneventful. I actually kind of struggled to find footage for this part of the run, but it has a couple of moments in it. But like I said, we're going to need to keep an eye on bats, watch out for traps obviously in this map, and watch out for bad spawns. Sometimes you can just get a bunch of enemies spawning, and it's just a nightmare. So we are going to take out this elite shield bearer. Nothing too difficult. We have a ability to teleport behind him, and we're going to move on. It's going to be pretty easy. Like I said, nothing too eventful happened in this map other than just taking our time, watching out for bats, and of course beating up these spikers as soon as we can. One of the most annoying enemies in the game, easily. Now we're going to go over to this elite room here and just test out to see if it can still exactly how far it can stun lock with the phaser. We're gonna miss a couple of jumps there, like an idiot. But yeah, we're gonna test out how good this stun lock is, because we saw it on the last Raider, but we're not even gonna get a chance. With that bonus to bleed, plus the bonus to poison, plus the phaser going off with bonus to bleed and bonus to burn oil, it's just gonna show that the damage is really quick. Now we're gonna see that we can teleport onto tentacles pretty safely. I was a little worried that it wouldn't work there. I wasn't 100% sure how the mechanic went, but we're going to keep that in mind when we get to Conjunctivius. I did decide to go to Conjunctivius because I figured since we'll have Phaser, we'll be able to get those charge swings off just over and over and chase her down really easily. Other than that, though, we're going to see that even with big groups of enemies, Flamethrower is just going to be able to clear them out pretty quick for us. So eventually we do see a new throwing knife. This is actually the second new throwing knife I found, but one that we can kind of take in the late game. Has bonus to burn oil and will let us go into Conjunctivius. Now once we get here, I'm like, well, let's just see how Teleport on her does, and it kind of destroys her. And I kind of knew it would destroy her, but it's doing really good. So we're just going to keep Teleport onto her and whacking her with the flint, and it's going to go pretty good. We did actually run out of ammo there at one point, but nothing too bad. It returned pretty quick. So now the tentacle phase. This is going to be the scarier phase to deal with, but we see I can teleport onto him and kill him potentially in one hit, but not quite always. So unfortunately we got tagged twice there, but nothing too bad. If you have to use a potion in this fight, I totally get it. It's generally a boss fight that I think is likely that you'll end up using a potion. So just take your time during the tentacle phase, attack when you need to, don't overcommit on offense, and similar with the Conjunctivius phase, actually targeting her down. Even though I'm teleporting at her like crazy, I'm making sure to stay away when I need to. We're gonna have another tentacle phase. Hopefully it goes a little bit better than the last one. We don't get tagged twice and have to worry about malaise. But even if so, it's going pretty good. And as you can see, I sort of take a different strategy than I usually do of trying to kill the tentacles as quick as possible. And instead, I wait for the other tentacle to go past us. That way I can just not have to worry about it and use the phaser swing. Let the flamethrower weaken them a little bit so they die in one hit to the phaser plus flint. And then we just have another one more quick, easy phase with her. I roll away when I see that aura. So we got tagged twice by the tentacles, but nothing too bad. Nothing we can't handle. And we don't really get any good items here, but we get our scrolls. Get a good amount of scroll fragments. Obviously, you get really great scrolls going through that fight. Now, we're going to see 7 billion bats, and I get bodied by them, unfortunately, but it's all good. And the bats are they just keep coming. But we're going to see a couple enemies down there. I'm like, I could save those for the curse, and more bats. Just more bats. But we do get through it eventually. The hell of bat spawns in this map. And we're going to roll through here, kite these over here. And we managed to avoid that one idiot. We do get a couple shops there. I checked them out, nothing too special. But we hit the curse really quick. So I'm going to check the area, make sure there's no elites nearby. And I don't see any, so I'm like, alright, it's probably safe to take this curse. So I check out the area and somehow missed that secret twice. I don't know how I didn't see that. I really didn't see that. Oh my goodness, I suck. But yeah, we're gonna take this curse, and we're like, yeah, we got some good stuff here. We see a Pyrotechnics. Really would have loved to play that. That's a great item to get on red, but you know, we're kind of committed to the flint at this point. So we're going to take a gander over here, fight these couple enemies that we saw early on, and almost get bodied by that duelist. I've quickly grown to hate duelists. They're one of my least favorite enemies in the game. But we're going to take advantage of another mechanic that Flint has, and it is dropping through platforms to hit enemies with it. So as you see, it's going to just take those guys out in one hit. And this is how Flint is typically played. And it's a really good mechanic to keep in mind at all points during a run, is that if you're below or above a platform, you can either drop down or jump up into it. There we go, I finally found it. And you can get a nice charge hit off. So I'm going to drop down here and once again pretty much take them out in one hit. I'm going to wait for the duelist to pop up and just whack him. I threw the flamethrower just to be safe, obviously. So I'm going to wait for this caster to walk by and just whack him. And the last raider, he's not going to be an issue because he's just going to spin around and I can kill him when he gets up here. He has that long wind up. And again, we're going to do the same pattern of drop down and kill. So we do see there's an elite in the bottom right corner there. So thankfully we weren't too aggressive. But yeah, keep in mind that Flint does have that ability to kind of go through platforms and take out enemies slowly, kill them in one hit. It is something that is still viable even if you're trying to do a weird Flint build like this with the phaser. It's something you can still just charge up and drop down or jump up to platforms on. Now eventually we're going to transition to obviously the, I don't know what to call this, the daytime cycle of Slumber Sanctuary. And again, duelists are a nightmare, and we're going to see our first golem, but he's going to go down pretty easy. And obviously we're concerned that he might be an issue later, but he doesn't have too much issue. Then we're gonna run into this awful setup. It's a protector, 2 demons, and a bomber with the aura around him, so I'm sort of trapped in this room. I somehow managed to get out of it without getting any damage. Goes pretty good. I just stayed patient, took my time, and stayed safe. I'm gonna try and jump past this rampager without aggroing him. I have no idea why I did this. I think I was worried about like a second curse, but we're gonna take out the golem quickly, and the rampager's gonna aggro anyways. Now, thankfully, demons aren't too bad. We're able to just teleport on them and smack them with the flint. So, it's not too bad of a... It's not a concern or anything. But, yeah, overall, Slumber Sanctuary went pretty good. We have the damage we need to take out enemy by enemy. And as long as we focus on that, we're pretty good. The charge hit does take out the golem, so as long as we have faith in our melee mutation, we're going to be good here. I took Soldier Resist just so I could have some heal, or some more bulk. I think it was the right call. Obviously here it ended up helping me, but we are going to take a potion. Unfortunate, but we got tagged a couple of times. Eventually we're going to move to Slumber Sanctuary. I really wasn't sure what map or boss I wanted to go to, so I just decided, hey, we'll go to Slumber Sanctuary. And I actually make a really bad mistake here. I wanted to potentially get to the curse chest, and I just was playing way too risky, but I did get to it. And I think I should have just taken my time. I need to work on that in this map a lot. But, yeah, I get to the curse chest pretty early. Have a lot of enemies to kill. So I'm not super worried. We're going to sell the tonic. I think the tonic was always a good item to take even off color. But, yeah, we're going to go into this door and get hit by the 7 billion bat curse again. And we almost got tagged by that Inquisitor a couple of times. He was going for a flamethrower turret. But... we're going to eventually drop down, and we see that elite, and I'm like, I'll risk it, whatever. And I managed to get through it. It was a little scary, but I got through it pretty well. We're gonna hit our light, and then we're gonna go up there, and we're just gonna beat up this elite, hopefully. And by beat up this elite, I mean we're gonna get bodied by him and hit by one of the easiest elites you could possibly imagine, because we are an idiot and have our phaser on our X button. But yeah, other than that, you know, it's Sepulture. A lot of easy enemies that die very quickly, so burst damage just destroys the map. Something like a flamethrower or like a phaser that gives you that quick burst damage really just shreds all these like medium-ish HP mobs, and it's kind of the way to go. We are going to go on though into a bit more enemies. Just, you know, obviously, it's not always going to go great for you. We're going to take another hit there, and we get bodied by that mummy. So, unfortunately, we're down to 2 health bots going into the second boss. It sucks, but what can you do? We do upgrade our flamethrower turret, though, and we look around for potential upgrade to the phaser. But I kind of figure out, I'm like, hey, 160% bonus damage, way better. So, we should just stick with that. We eventually decide to stop buying flamethrower turrets, and we go towards Giant. I'm like, I think this can do okay in Giant. Now, I decided to just go with a bunch of bulky stuff, Vengeance, Soldier Resist, and I think Instinct of the Master of Arms, I want to say. But as you can see, I did move my phaser to right trigger for this. That way I'm not constantly teleporting on his hands when I'm trying to hit his eyes. Because phaser will almost always teleport onto his hands. Sometimes I'll teleport onto the eyes, but it can screw it up sometimes. So, I end up taking Disengage. That's why. I probably go to Hand of the King direct. I think I go to Hand of the King directly after this. That I can carry just that combo into both fights. And Giant. Obviously, this isn't the most traditional giant build, you want to kill giant as quick as possible with a lot of damage over time or status affixes, but we're going to see that it does pretty good damage. Obviously the eyes, it's not going to do a ton of damage to immediately, but it destroys his hand pretty quick, so I'm actually feeling pretty confident about it at this point. And I tried to do the phaser, and yeah, it just teleports onto the hand. So we're going to try to avoid using the phaser during the eye phase, but it is going to help us kill the hands a lot quicker. So we're going to keep that in mind. And for the most part, you know, we're going to take our time, let him attack, move out of the way. That's how you want to fight the giant when you can't kill the hand super quick, is you want to wait for his attack and then react to it, because he is very easy to dodge patterns. It's just that they hurt really hard, and if you preemptively dodge, it hurts bad. Now you're gonna see I got the flamethrower on his hand that time, and that did a bunch of damage to his eye, and let me rack up way more damage than before, so I'm gonna keep that in mind and try and get another flamethrower off on his eye if I can later. I do eventually get tagged, unfortunately. We lose the no-hit. Happens though, especially with a slower build like this. But just stay patient, stay calm, and we're going to have it happen again, where we're able to get some really good damage off. He does tag me one more time there, but for the most part, it's a pretty good giant fight. Obviously not perfect. We obviously don't want to get hit during the giant fight, but I'm not too worried about it. Unfortunately, we didn't get the kill off there, but we are going to take his hands out before it's a major issue. Oh, we do get tagged one more time, so pretty unfortunate. We are going to go into Hand of the Cane with 1 potion, I believe, but, you know, you don't always get 4 potions going into Hand of the Cane. You don't need 4 potions going into Hand of the Cane, really. So, you know, it's not great, but we'll see how it does against Hand of the Cane. And I'm pretty confident here, actually, because I'm going to be able to just phaser on top of him and swing like crazy. So I roll past, obviously, take my time, react to his attack, do the roll, jump, roll for his triple slash, and for the most part, it goes pretty well. We're going to phase transition him without any damage, and we're holding still pretty good here. So now we are going to deal with these Inquisitors, deal with the Disgusting Worm, and just take our time, and he's going to do his hand, we're going to wait, and then we're going to teleport as soon as the rocks are away so we don't get hit by any jank hitboxes. So we're going to jump and roll and just keep safe with his dash attacks. And we are actually going to get the no-hit. So really good Hand of the Cane. Really good Hand of the Cane, actually. Such a chaotic, fast-paced fight, but I love it. Real quick, as I'm showing off here, this is going to be spoiler content for the rest of the run in case you care. This is going to be 5 BC only stuff, so if you care about that, step away now, and don't want you to get your 5 BC stuff ruined. But with that, let's jump into Astrolabe. Now, I was actually really concerned about Astrolabe here. I was like, how am I going to deal with Magistrates and Librarians with this build? And we do see a Nerves of Steel. I'm like, that's kind of fun, but I'll pass. I actually just did the Nerves of Steel run, so I was like, eh. But yeah, I'm gonna go in, and I actually am gonna make a big mistake here. I'm gonna forget to reroll my mutations. I would have gone for Necro, Disengage, and Gastro, because those are great mutations to have. You can constantly get your Disengage health back up, and it's just really solid. But for the most part, it's gonna go okay. I'm not super worried about the map, but I am, you know, I gotta be careful. Astrolabe, even though it's not a super hard map, it can mess you up sometimes. So we're gonna go through, just kind of take our time through the biomes, and we're going to do our drop down onto the Slammer, and it works pretty good. We take him out in 2 swings, and a lot of these enemies are dying in about 2 swings, so I'm not super worried. But we're gonna see our first Slammer plus Librarian combo down there, which is pretty scary. We're going to be able to phaser onto the Librarian quick enough, though, and it's not an issue. And that's what we really want, is we want to phaser onto the Librarians and Magistrates before they have a chance to hit us and aggro onto us, or in the Librarian's case, before it's impossible to target and it gets its 3-hit combo off. Now, unfortunately, I have no idea what I was doing here. I just walked off the edge. It was unfortunate. It's all good though. I'm going to take my time. We hit our disengage, and we're in a bit of a scary situation here. I'm trying to decide, do I want to use my potion? Do I want to use my wait for health? But I am going to take the careful approach. I know I can get a potion in this map always. So eventually we do end up getting that potion, and we're climbing the tower. Again, destroy the librarians with a phaser, hopefully before they can target onto us. And yeah, we have only one potion, but again, we only need one potion going into the final boss, so we're gonna hopefully be able to pull that off. Roll when you hear the sound effect and see the exclamation point on the librarians. And for the most part, it's, you know, it's not a great Astrolabe. We obviously had that mistake, but it does go to show that you can make mistakes in your runs. It's not you don't have to play perfect, even on 5BC, to get this far into a run. So, I missed a secret down there. I just saw it. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna go back 10 seconds so you can see my awful. It's like right here on the right. Yep. Awful. That could have been food. Or money. Either or. I get hit by that slammer. Unfortunate, but like I said, you're not always going to have a great Astrolabe or a great Slumber and Sanctuary, or even a great Prison Quarters, and sometimes you can... But sometimes you'll have those great boss fights like Hand of the King, and it'll help carry you through the run at that last moment. So definitely never give up on your run attempts. You know, I get it can be frustrating to get bodied by Stilt Village. Trust me, I get that. But yeah, we're going to use the head trick with the slammers here so we don't have to fight them. I usually don't get hit during that fight when I go for him, but with one health pot, we don't want to risk it, really. So now we're going to go into the final fight. We got our keys, and last spoiler warning, by the way, if you care about the 5BC final boss. But we're going to go grab the final set of mutations, and we don't have a lot of money, so we're actually going to hopefully get something good on that last throwing knife that we ended up buying. And we did. We got bonus to poison, so we can work with that. Now for this fight, we're going to keep it really simple. We could go for the emergency triage, but I figured I'd play it safe. I don't want to go for... Obviously, the no-hit is great, but I figured I'd play it smart. So we're going to stick with melee. We're going to stick with disengage, and we are going to stick with Heart of Ice, I believe. Come on, idiot. Go grab Heart of Ice. What are you doing? Why are you looking at Masochist? Yeah. So this way we're going to be able to hopefully phaser onto Final Spoiler Warning. We're going to hopefully be able to phaser just constantly onto Collector and keep him pretty much stun locked. So we'll see how it goes. Final fight. I have lost and posted Collector fights before, so we'll see what happens here. But we're going to start off with just a bunch of crits and pretty good damage so far. We're going to dodge his attack, and of course he's going to go for the stab. We roll, jump, and we keep doing that until we see he actually stops it. Roll past his spinning, and so far, really good. Got hit him with a few crits. Go pretty good. He's going to teleport. We're going to throw our flamethrower down immediately. That way we can have it refreshed by the time he comes back. And we're just going to start wailing into him as quick as we can with our phaser plus our flint. And now we're doing pretty good. I believe this is his third potion already, and we haven't even got hit yet. So, oh no, that's definitely not third potion. But we're going to, you know, roll past his attacks, get a couple of hits in if we can. And unfortunately, we're going to get hit there, so no hit. We're going to get tagged a couple more times. But we are going to just start wailing into him with a couple more phasers while he does his final potion. And we're feeling pretty good. We still have the disengage up. Again, just like with the librarians, we're going to roll as soon as we hear the sound and see the exclamation point. And we're just going to start teleporting onto him. And pretty good. Pretty good. He's actually right at his final phase transition here. So yeah, I am going to smack into him a few more times. Just kind of mess around. Smack him with the phaser. And eventually he is going to hit me, though, here. And it's going to hit me in disengage range. So, you know, I like to practice the fight when I can. You only get to do it so infrequently. But yeah, the collector fight is gonna go really well, and that's the run. I think it went pretty good. I had a typo there. But yes, I think the post-commentary style is pretty fun. I want to do more if people are interested in it. If you don't like it, just let me know. It's actually harder for me to do the post-commentary because I have to edit and then record. I have to do the run, then edit it, then record the audio as opposed to doing it all in one go. But yeah, let me know what you think about the post-commentary style, and let me know as well if you'd like me to do like little pauses during a boss fight and explain why I'm about to do something. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see everyone in the next video. Also, by the way, real quick, thanks to everyone who came by the live stream the other day. It was really fun. I had a lot of fun doing a double knife run. I don't have the footage for it, unfortunately, just because there were some connection issues. But the live stream was super fun. I will have down below a Discord link if you want to know when I'll be uploading videos as well as live streaming specifically. Feel free to join. We're hanging out, having fun. But thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you in the next video.